starting with number 1, Zeus vs Typhon. We're talking about a time when Zeus had to go up against the biggest, baddest, most horrifying monster the ancient Greeks could dream up. This wasn't some minor demigod or a jealous brother. This was the final boss, the father of all monsters, Typhon. The stage for this epic showdown was set by a family feud, naturally. Gaia, the Earth Mother, was furious at Zeus for what he did to her Titan children. Imprisoning them in the hell pit Tartarus. So she hooked up with Tartarus himself and gave birth to Typhon, specifically designed to overthrow Mount Olympus. Typhon was massive, so big that when he stood up, his head scraped the stars. His body was covered in shaggy, black, dirt-caked hair, and from the waist down, he was nothing but a tangle of enormous vipers. Where a man would have hands, Typhon had 100 snapping dragon heads. Oh, and his eyes? They glowed with scorching fire. The dude wasn't just scary. He was a walking, talking, fire-breathing nightmare that basically blotted out the sun. When Typhon first showed his grotesque face, the Olympian gods, who were used to winning every fight, absolutely freaked out. It's said that when Typhon first appeared, moving with such terrifying speed that his shadow darkened the entire sky, the gods immediately abandoned their posts. They shapeshifted into various animals. Zeus turned into a ram, Apollo a crow, and they fled to Egypt. Seriously, the supposedly mighty Olympians tucked tail and ran. Only Zeus, the king, stood his ground. He grabbed his trusty weapon, the thunderbolts forged by the Cyclopes, which had helped him defeat the Titans. Zeus wasn't messing around. He hit Typhon with a continuous, overwhelming storm of divine lightning. The world shook. The seas boiled, and every mountain on Earth was scorched black. But Typhon was not easily defeated. He was a force of nature, literally. As Zeus rained down fire from the heavens, Typhon returned fire from his 100 mouths. Their clash became a cataclysmic exchange of pure energy. Zeus tried to close the distance and finish the fight with his adamantine sickle. Yeah, the same one Cronus used. This was a huge mistake. Zeus rushed in, and Typhon, who was as cunning as he was huge, used his sheer size to his advantage. He managed to trap Zeus and wound him, tearing out the tendons from Zeus's hands and feet. Now, this is bad. We're talking about the king of the gods, beaten, mutilated, and completely incapacitated. Typhon, feeling like he'd won the war, dragged Zeus's limp body across the landscape and imprisoned him in a cave in Cilicia, guarded by his sister, the she-dragon Delphine. Typhon also kept the stolen sinews, wrapping them in a bearskin and hiding them in the cave. Zeus was helpless. The universe was thrown into chaos, and it looked like the reign of the Olympians was over. But Zeus always has a trick up his sleeve, or in this case, a loyal helper. Hermes and Aegipan, Pan's goat god sidekick, sneaking in where the great gods had fled, managed to trick or charm Delphine and steal the sinews back. They swiftly put the tendons back into Zeus's hands and feet, restoring his strength. Zeus immediately springs back into action, 1,000 times more furious than before. He chases Typhon, who is now terrified and trying to escape across the seas. The battle moves from the plains of Thrace, where Typhon is wounded by 3 fates who tricked him into eating poisonous fruit, to Mount Cassius, where Zeus hits him with another powerful volley of lightning. Finally, the chase leads to the island of Sicily. Typhon, exhausted and reeling from Zeus's relentless thunderbolts, makes a last stand. Zeus gathers every ounce of divine power and hurls Mount Etna, the entire enormous volcano, directly at the monster. The weight of the mountain crushed Typhon, pinning the monster beneath the earth forever. Typhon was defeated, but he was not silent. Even today, the myth says that Typhon's restless rage and fiery breath are the reason Mount Etna erupts, reminding the world of the time the king of the gods nearly lost everything to the final boss of Greek myth.
Number 2. Thor vs Jogmungandr.
Our hero, of course, is Thor, the protector of Midgard, Earth, and the poster boy for Norse strength. His enemy, Jogmungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent. This isn't just a big snake. This is one of the 3 terrifying children of Loki. The gods feared it so much that they immediately tossed the baby serpent into the great oceans surrounding the world. The snake grew so large that it now encircles the entire earth, biting its own tail in the deep abyss. If it ever moves, the seas swell and the world trembles. Now their final, apocalyptic confrontation is saved for Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. But they had a couple of tense, insane sneak previews. The first time they meet is totally by accident, on a humble fishing trip. Thor, wanting to prove his sheer strength, goes out to sea with the giant Hymir, a dude known for being pretty tough himself. Hymir refuses to go too far out, scared of the sea serpent, but Thor, being Thor, just rows the boat past all the giant's fishing spots and keeps going, until they are basically in the middle of the deep, monster-infested ocean. Hymir is freaking out, but Thor is just looking for a good catch. He baits his line with the head of Hymir's largest ox. This is one of those times in mythology where you realize the gods have a twisted sense of humor, because Jogmungandr, living deep on the ocean floor, smells that juicy ox head and takes the bait. A massive, terrifying struggle begins. Thor feels the immense weight on his line and starts pulling. The world serpent is thrashing so violently that the entire boat starts rocking like a bathtub toy in a hurricane. Thor plants his feet and pulls with every ounce of his Asgardian strength. His feet punch through the bottom of the boat and brace against the sea floor below. He pulls and pulls until the colossal, venomous head of the serpent breaks the surface, dripping with seawater and poison. Hymir looks at this sight, the giant, ugly head of the serpent that encircles the world, and goes from terrified to completely unhinged. He grabs the line, Thor's fishing line, that is currently hooked in the mouth of the biggest monster in creation, and cuts it. Seriously! The monster slips back into the abyss, and Thor is so absolutely furious, not because he lost the fish, but because Hymir robbed him of the glory of killing the beast. Thor, in a rage, punches Hymir so hard he goes flying overboard. Thor then just wades back to shore, leaving the giant to deal with his own mess. It's an insane near miss, and Jogmungandr lives to fight another day. Their final, true 1 versus 1 fight is saved for the end of time, Ragnarok. Jogmungandr finally uncoils. The serpent's movement causes the oceans to rise in a massive flood, drowning the world and freeing the monstrous ship Nagunfar. Thor and Jogmungandr charge at each other, the 2 greatest forces of the old world colliding. Thor, with his hammer Mjolnir, manages to strike the serpent a fatal blow to the head. The monster is slain. But it's a Pyrrhic victory. Before Jogmungandr dies, it spews so much venom onto Thor that the thunder god can only take 9 steps before collapsing and dying from the poison.